Our focus for now can just be on this agenda. So as mentioned, to make sure that we get the best from this session, I've put together a short agenda to make sure that we stay on track and we stay within the parameters of the time that we have together. So the first 5 things that we're going to look at, number 1, quite simply, what is curation? What is content curation more specifically? We'll talk about sources of content curation, and then we'll get really specific and into the more technical things that Fawaz correctly said maybe you'll need to revisit because like I mentioned at the start, these are things that change over time, technically, graphically, digitally, in terms of tools. So these will be specific things that you will need to call back to. So dimensions, the role of branding, and a tool called Canva that some of our team have started to use to good effect. And then continued, so there's only 10 points, so that's the first 5. The next 5, we'll talk about compression, which is very important when you're curating content so that we don't overload the system and we make the user experience good. We'll talk about the definitions within the LXP that relate directly to curation. And then live demos. I mean, I can envision us flying through. This is not heavy content. There's 1 slide per each of these. We'll talk about them briefly. But by the time we get down to point 7 to 10, this is going to be all hands on. So LXP definitions and ICRA live demo we'll do when I'll start to share the screen. And then you're all going to get some homework, a introduction and basics of curation. This is a definition from Hootsuite who say that content curation is adding your voice and value to hand-picked collection of content gathered from a variety of different sources around a specific topic that you publish and share with your fans wherever they may be. Now, this is Hootsuite is a social media tool, so when they say your fans, they're talking about influencers. But when we say content curation, we're talking about the same thing. We're talking about learning and development content, and this idea of curation is about collecting different sources of information. So it's adding your touch, your flavor, your feel and value to hand-picked collection of different content, all in and around the same subject, gathered from lots of different sources around that topic, and that we publish and share with our employees of art. So for us, it's about becoming more in touch with what is trending in our industry in terms of content, in terms of subject, in terms of benchmarking reports, videos, information, and having that really at your fingertips and being able to serve that back to the business as and when it's required. So the next question is, sources. That was the next thing on our agenda. What sources do we have to curate from? Well, there's lots and lots of different sources that we can choose. I'm going to share a graphic with you in a minute that's helped me, certainly. But the first and most obvious one is ICRA. But by the very nature of an LXP platform, when you put something into the search bar and say enter, it's going to pull content not only from existing on the platform, but it's going to pull content from all over the web and direct you to that content, whether it's on a third-party website or any other piece of information like a PDF or a JPEG or a picture file or anything like that. So when you get your homework later, which is obviously going to be about content curation, these are the places that I would start. ICRA, YouTube. When you go to YouTube, start subscribing to certain channels. So for example, if you go onto YouTube and you search MIT, Harvard, Wharton, any of the top universities, they all have a channel that you can follow and just endless amounts of free, license-free content that we can use for our benefit. There's also a specific channel for learning on YouTube, which I wasn't aware of until this year myself. So if you go to youtube.com and then search YouTube Learning, the YouTube Learning channel has hundreds of thousands of free learning videos that are of varying quality. But part of curation is about being picky. It's about going through the varying quality until you pull out some gems. You've probably heard this term in our industry before, MOOCs, MOOC''S. What's a MOOC? Can anybody tell me? It's a bit of a funny word. I think I heard Ayaz spit out the answer. Massive open online course is what you said, Ayaz, correct? Correct, and that's exactly what it is. So and you could nearly argue the point that the written word, as it has been passed down from generation by book to book to book and person to person, is fast being replaced by the verbal, the spoken word, and what we see on video. Because YouTube has essentially got the cost of sharing information down to null, down to zero. You don't have to spend any money to learn these days. So that's a note on those. Also VILT sessions, which as we know stands for virtual instructor-led sessions. You could argue this is one. This is a virtual instructor-led session. And you can set up something called Google Alerts. And I have a Google Alert switched on for VILT sessions. And what that means is every time there's a free VILT session, I get an email about it. So you'd be surprised the quality. You're talking about Harvard, McKinsey, MIT. There's unbelievable free resources that are actually just publishing free content in a live environment all the time. Signing up to webinars, signing up to VILT sessions, just by signing up and giving your email address, you'll be emailed a copy of that content, and sometimes it's just the best information that you could possibly hope to access and to share. Something else that I'll email you separately that I found online, you could Google this online as well. This one was actually on Pinterest. It's the online learning list. So whether you're looking for courses and e-learning, I know there's some here that do require subscriptions, Coursera and edX and Khan Academy, for example, but some of them do offer free trial content. Totally free ones that are shareable are on the right here in terms of knowledge: TED.com, economist.com, brainpickings.org, lifehack.org, Quora.com. Quora is brilliant for information. It's really about crowdsourcing the best answers to difficult questions. There's content for career, about languages, about tutorials and DIY, web design and programming. It's really endless, guys, right? So what I'd say is Google it. You know, it's a simple message, I know, but in terms of sources, here's some good tips here, but just be curious. And the more curious you are and time that you can dedicate to something like this, the better you're going to get over time. Moving on. So dimensions matter a lot when you are designing and you're creating within ICRA. And I'll show you when we do our live example what these numbers are referencing. And again, so these are the sizes of the containers that are built on ICRA. Usually Edcast, as the provider of the host of ICRA, give to us to design ourselves. Everything that you see, every color, every box, every icon has been developed by our team and maintained by our team, and you're coming into that fold now. So these numbers are very important depending on what you're designing. If dimensions matter, the role of branding matters even more importantly, because, you know, football teams wear jerseys for a reason. It's to show what side of the field you're playing on. And our brand is very clearly these colors. So when we're creating content, and I'd say this goes for curation rules and it goes for Etisalat rules in general. So when we're creating even a PowerPoint, become familiar with our primary and secondary colors. These RGB, standing for red, green, blue, numbers are all you need. To change these numbers in PowerPoint is very straightforward. And by using them and by changing them, what you're doing is accessing that color that's specifically chosen by Etisalat to make really good looking branded content. Down the bottom here you see these numerical and alpha codes. So with the hash and 4F6931. These ones are for online applications and platforms. So when we look at a tool in a few moments called Canva, Canva is looking for some of these codes to customize content for you as well. So I'll send on our branding guidelines if you've not used them before. Speaking of the aforementioned tool, canva.com, free to sign up for. Like many websites, you can have a premium version that you do pay for that comes with extra bells and whistles. I don't have the premium version. Nor does Huda or Abdullah or any of our team have the paid version. And what we're able to do on this tool with the free one is fantastic. By including the brand colors, we've made multiple posters, web designs. Everything on ICRA that you see has been designed within Canva. All right, we'll talk about compression very quickly. Some really quick tips on compression for you. So we can upload as much as we want. However, we learned in the early stages when we started receiving content that we were uploading, be they the LinkedIn courses or masterclass courses, that some of the files were so big. When the employee started to look for the content and find it on their handset, it was buffering for a long time, and in some cases not playing if the person lived in an area where there was, let's say, weak 4G connection, or they don't have super fast broadband at home. And furthermore, the bigger the file and the longer it takes to load, the more it's going to consume from their data package. So being considerate about the file size goes a very long way. So it's important that we think about this after we find content. If you're compressing online, the best tool that I've used so far is wecompress.com. Again, it's free. You drop and drag your content into this plus icon, and then it compresses it down to a good size for you. By the way, besides from curation, this is a handy tool to know if you're designing a PowerPoint and you're trying to email it, because our email limitation in Etisalat, I think, is about 10 to 12 megabytes. So that's a good online compression tool. I'd also add it's probably a light compression tool. You don't really get from gigs to megabytes on this one. It's just going to shave off the non-essential stuff while keeping the quality quite high. If you need heavier compression for the courseware that you find, for videos that you find, a good example of this offline tool called Handbrake. So Handbrake, like, is in your car, Handbrake, this guy here. I was able to take about half of the size off this file itself, which is quite useful. If not half, just slightly less than half, but we'll have a look when we go live in a moment. Okay, excellent. So what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm just going to go full screen here, and I'm going to share my screen on Iqra. It's like, where do I start creating? So you can click create here, and let's just look at the smallest unit when we say smart card. So these are the curation options that we're given. And as you can see, the first one that we have, and I'll just zoom, is a link. So what is a link? It's a URL to a website. So let's say I click on this one, and here's the article. So I like it so much that I want to share it. So simply going to cut that, going to go back to Iqra, and then I'm going to paste that link. And you can see it's thinking a little bit. It looked like it was loading, right? And what is it loading? It's doing the hard work for us. It's already pulled in the title. It's pulled in a preview. I can change that preview by uploading a different image if I want. It's pulled in some subtexts. We look at the 4 key relationships that facilitate shared learning. And now here I can say, who do I want to share this with? Immediately it's given me the options. Where am I posting this curated content? So, this is all rights and licenses Josh Berson's, because I'm linking his direct website. I can post it in a channel. I can send it to an individual user, or I can post it in a group. So for the purposes of this training and demonstration, I'm just going to post it to our L&D group, the L&D team. Down here you can put a tag. So how would somebody find this content, making it easier to find? The language, if you leave unspecified, will always default to English. Unless it's specifically another language, you don't have to engage with language here. And on the advanced settings that I've just collapsed, I'm going to open that back up again. You can add an image, a thumbnail image to the content. Importantly, it's going to ask as well, what's the duration of this content? You can't proceed unless you put in the average duration. Why? And why is this so important? Because this is how our continuous learning hours are calculated. So if you're posting a 4-minute video, for example, you need to tell the content card, this is a 4-minute video. Otherwise, when that video is consumed, it won't count towards the person's learning goal. Content type. This is simply an article. It's not paid content, because obviously we're not charging our employees. And quite simply then we can say create. Now this is the most basic example of content curation perhaps that you can see. Now let's look at this for a second, and let's talk about enhancements, because yeah, I've successfully shared an article. Here's the thumbnail that was automatically generated, and there's no, key relationships, Josh Berson. It's not very enticing, right? So it's here in my profile under my content, and additionally, we know it's been posted into our learning and development group. Well, we've so many groups now. Learning and development. There we go. To load, featured. There we go. Shared. So, I feel we can do better with the look and feel of this particular piece of content. So this could be done really simply. So first things first, I'm just going to zoom on Josh Berson's logo. I'm going to screenshot it. That's screenshotted. And now I'm just going to screenshot maybe the top of this article. Key learning relationships, April 29th, 2020, to show the freshness of the content. Now with 2 simple screenshots, I'm going to go back. I'm going to engage the content by pressing these 3 dots. And as I do so, I'm going to just simply say edit. So it's going to take me back into the edit mode that we seen a second ago. And what am I going to edit? I'm going to change the image first of all, because I don't like the standard one that the artificial intelligence just pulled in from the article. Oh, you see? Oh, excellent. You're seeing that too. Lovely. Okay, great. Now down in advanced settings, remember who is the provider. So to give the author his due rights, obviously we have the link and we have the imagery, but additionally, now I'm going to add the Josh Burson logo and upload. So we'll just give this a wee second to upload and update. Okay. And there you go. I was just about to refresh the page. Now, without refreshing the page, you can see the difference in what it looked like previously to what it looks like now. I mean, if we just zoom in on this for a second, look at the difference. Number one, having the Josh Burson Academy logo here adds and elevates the status of this to being a little bit more attractive, certainly more engaging, certainly more interesting. And then the key learning relationships up here tells you exactly what the article's about. If I click into it now, I actually get a much better thumbnail where the article actually begins with the opening paragraph, and if I view more, I'm going to be taken directly to the content. So that, in its most basic, simple form, is a good example of curation. So what are we going to do? While we're in here, we're going to create another smart card. And this time, we've been through link. This time we're going to upload content because this content has been sent to us. Now I'm going to find the content first of all. Can you guys see my pop-up screen here where I'm pulling content from on my laptop? You can?
Yes.
Excellent. So this is actually very important. I want you to notice the difference when I go to my downloads here, right? This morning session and afternoon session is what we're uploading. Now I downloaded these from what Amjad sent, and when I go to the morning session and go to size, you'll see 212.5 megabytes, almost a quarter of a gig. A movie is roughly 1 to 2 gigs, right? A small movie is 1 to 2 gigs. They can be much, much bigger, but a small movie is 1 to 2 gigs. This is quarter of a movie. So obviously you need to compress that file. Now, I compressed it earlier in the tool Handbrake that I mentioned, and the morning session, instead of being 212, it wasn't half, but it's a light compression. So while maintaining the quality of the video and the audio, I've been able to take it down to 170 megs. So it's just going to upload faster, it's going to play faster, it's going to be a better experience. And that was using the tool Handbrake. So I'm going to click morning session. It's 163 megs here that you can see, and I'm going to say upload. Now, instead of wasting our time watching this thing uploading, we're going to switch gears and we're going to jump into Canva, because I know I need some artwork. I know I need something attractive to the eye that's going to draw people into this morning session. We've just seen how the Josh Burson thing came to life with some very simple effort. It's uploading pretty quickly, actually, in fairness to it, isn't it? Jumping back into Canva, here's the tool here. And you're not going to become an expert in this tool today or tomorrow. But again, this is about awareness. This is about curiosity. This is about investing in yourself, investing in your own career, and looking more deeply into some of these tools. So I know that we made some previous content for Huawei. So I went and I found that. And that was here somewhere. There we go. So this was the poster that we previously made for the Huawei channel. Welcome to Huawei. Now, I need to make something quick. I don't have a lot of time. We've all got pressures. You don't want to be spending hours doing these things. It's only worthwhile if you know how to do a fast. So I'm going to show you. There's Fawaz. I'm going to show you how to do a fast. So here's a previous one that we designed for Fawaz Microsoft Tips. Using this button, I'm going to copy the page so I don't lose Fawaz. He's up here. And now I'm going to just delete out the text. Sorry, Fawaz. Delete out Fawaz. Bye-bye. And now... And now I'm going to have this background here. I'm going to search for a photo that might be presenter. And you can see some of the stock images of presentation that we get here. Let's say I like this one. You can see this one Pro. That's a chargeable image. This one is free. So let's say we like that one. Okay, just dropped it into place. And now I'm going to go back to the previous piece of work that we did, and I'm just going to highlight everything and press copy, go back to this window and say paste. Done. Right, now you might want to spend a little bit more time on something like this, but as I said, you know, none of us are graphic designers and we're in a hurry, and you want it to look good. So that's not a bad first attempt for any of us, and you've seen how quickly that came together. I'm going to bring that up a little bit more. And done. So I'm going to download this one. It gives you lots of export types. I'm going to download it as a PNG file, which means that it has no background image, no white background image, as opposed to a JPEG file. I don't want to download all these images. I just want to download one. Page 40, and I'm going to say download. Awesome, so that's downloading now. I'm going to switch back to Ikra and replace the thumbnail because we've created our own. I'm going to go to my downloads. I'm going to check the preview, and I'm going to upload. All right, so now who are we going to share with? Because I was already in the Huawei channel, you're seeing here seminar, workshop on artificial intelligence. It's already going to post into that channel. Now from here I can also add more channels, I can add more groups, I can put it into more individual feeds, that type of thing. But let's say we're just happy with where it is at the moment. We can mark it as private if it's not ready to be uploaded yet, by the way. Here, put in the tags again. So webinar, Huawei, digital and transformation. All right, language is fine. I don't want to restrict it. Who's the provider? So again, I'm going to upload, and I've started to save, right? When I go to my folder here on the left that you can see called brand, and I go into this folder that I have saved called content providers, I've saved the Huawei logo. Now, it's very important that we all use the same logos because otherwise they'll all be in different sizes. So I'm going to take an action to send you guys the content provider logos that I've saved. How long is the video? 2 hours and 17 minutes. It's a biggie. So there was one. So 2 hours and 27. All right, I'm just going to do a quick check. There's the video. Title, description. See what I just did there, by the way? I shouldn't do that quickly and not talk about it. When the video uploads, it quickly gives you, if I named this video ABCD123, it's going to pull the name of the MP4 file. It's going to pull the name of the file into the title description. Now, I don't want to call it .mp4, so I'm going to take that off. And you might even expand this and say Huawei webinar, and then put in brackets morning session, right? So now let's say we're happy with that. We're just going to check everything else. Huawei webinar morning. Aha, thank you, good man. We know where it's going in the Huawei channel. Yeah, it's already in there. Great, that's just a little double check. It's not private content. We've put the tags. We've put the company's logo to give them their credit. We've put the duration, and we've changed the content type to video. Now we're going to create, and it's being processed. Now, as it's being processed, I'm going to go back into Canva for one moment. I'm going to copy the last thing that we did, and I'm just going to change the color to a different color for the evening session. I don't like that one. Right, that's better. So the evening session is going to be in a different color. I only want page 41, and I'm going to download. Right, quick check back in on Ikra. Done, look at that. So if we go to Etisalat content one more time, now we scroll over to our Huawei webinar channel. It has been posted down here. Now I'm going to post the second video right now, and then I'm going to show you how we promote that content and how we feature that content and what the difference between feature and promotion is. They're two really important terms. But that looks pretty good to me, right? I mean, we didn't spend too long on this, and you can see it's there, it's logoed up, it's got some nice graphics behind that, and you can clearly see it's a video. So let's go again. So I'm gonna go back to my upload, gonna select the file. It's in my download where Amjad sent it to me. Morning session, afternoon session was 134 megs. After its compression, afternoon session is 117. So we shaved a little bit off it again. Awesome stuff. All right, video has been uploaded. Now we want to replace the thumbnail. We've already done that piece of work on Canva for the evening session. So I'm going to upload. I'm going to go straight to my download file. There's the green one. And we're going to upload. We don't like the name, afternoon session, m.mp4. So again, we will say afternoon session. Okay, it's not private content. You're going to tag it up again. All right. Who's the provider? We're going to upload. I know it's a little bit repetitive, and you're going to get sick of doing it because you're going to do it so much for your assigned content, but this boring repetitive tasks make a really good user experience on the other side. And the consistency is really king. Consistency in what logos we use, consistency in approach, consistency in making sure we tag stuff properly. This is where we all need to be at the same level. So we can see the time here, 1 hour and 29 minutes. It's also very important that we make sure that people do the morning session before they do the afternoon session. But it's easy to fix that. So in our Huawei channel here, we can even begin to customize with this little edit button, this pencil. I'm just going to click that for a second. And what's really nice here, I don't know if you can see, I hope you can. Do you see it where in the white text, enter order top of list? So I can literally put a number because this is the morning session. I'm going to say, I want you to be number 1. I'm going to say, okay, that's going to update. Now the afternoon session is immediately number 2. I don't care about the webinar cards anymore because they're gone. This is an old promotion that we just used to fill up the channel. So we can say that can be 3. Say, okay. Done. So morning session is now first, afternoon session is now second. And we can just click back out. Brilliant. So there's our 2 smart cards put together. Huawei webinar recorded sessions, morning and afternoon. Now what we want to do from here is make sure that we feature the content. And instead of having this webinar that's out of date now, we want to make sure that the featured and promoted content is coming from here. So what we do here is to click back into our edit. And instead of playing with these numbers, we simply click featured. Now I want this one to come up first. So first I'm going to feature the afternoon session. Then I'm going to go back out. I'm going to make sure that the afternoon session is there. Yes, now the afternoon session is being featured. And I'm going to click back into edit again. Now I'm going to go to the morning session and click featured and click back out. So what have we done? If we refresh and we go back out to here, we click into our Huawei channel. Now the first thing that people are going to see is all of a sudden relevant. And this is about, you can probably see the importance of this now. This channel is now relevant or alive again because there's new information, not dead webinar links. So there's the morning session loud and clear, and if the person clicks right on the arrow, there's the evening session. You can simply share this content with somebody then by copying and pasting the URL link and sending it in your various WhatsApp groups or sending it in email. So even here, if we were to just paste, that link will now take anybody that clicks it directly to this Huawei channel. So back to our agenda. Okay, so we said we'd cover what is curation, sources and dimensions. So we didn't really get into dimensions. The role of branding we covered in Canva, we covered well. Compression we covered well. LXP definitions we covered well. ICRA live demo we're just doing. And then the last thing is going to be your wee bit of homework. Default classic, ultra wide, wide, vertical, basic. So you can probably guess, if you now look at the shared screen, that this card type, what card type is that out of all the design things that you can see on my webcam at the moment? So absolutely, Amjad, that is the vertical card, and they're the dimensions, 214 by 398. Now here is the joy, by the way. If I'm on a tool like Canva and I just click home, I've never used it before and I'm just learning, and I say create a design, I can create something that it gives me some options here, right? Planner, animated social media, presentation, ads, posters, infographics, etc. But I can click on this thing called custom dimensions. And when I go back to vertical, 214 by 398, I can tell Canva I need this in 214 by 398, 398, and I can say create design. And look what it's given me. It's given me a perfect vertical poster. That whatever I design, whatever I create, whatever I pull into this now and brand up is going to fit perfectly for ICRA's web application and look like this. Secondly, the digital knowledge hub and compliance look very different, right? They look really, really different because it's this ultra wide 132.6 by 420px. Then on one Etisalat, these are your classic. That's a classic icon, 325 by 178. We don't have any on default and we don't have any on basic. So we use classic, we use ultra wide, and we use vertical. And should we ever want to change the look and feel of ICRA, they're the dimensions that we use. They're the parameters that we play in to brand this thing and to make sure we have consistency. Okay, great. So we've covered that a little bit better now. Anything left on the agenda? No, guys, I think we're done and we're just over our time. And this is a good question for us, right? I'd go back into Smart Card, and you're right, we've only covered these first two today, link and upload. But if you go all the way through these, you'll see that this is a poll. So this would be like, I love the poll feature, by the way, because the poll is literally asking someone to evaluate something in the middle of the training, right? So if your training was about virtual collaboration, you might put up a poll question for all the participants of that course and say, how do you feel your department is a virtual collaboration, or how do you feel Etisalat is on a whole as in terms of virtual collaboration, and get them to rate it 1 to 10. These are our quiz questions. This is writing an article. This is uploading a course. So if it's all video content that you've curated from, let's say, Coursera or YouTube, or videos that you've had on your phone, you're in the upload section because you're uploading directly from your device. If you have official content that's been given to you by a provider like Coursera or like Expert Learning, for example, do you guys want to see a SCORM being uploaded? Will I show you what that looks like? So you guys can see my screen here. Loy from Expert Learning has sent us across 3 SCORMs. What are their titles? Facing virtual team challenges, exploring virtual collaboration, and managing in a crisis. So fairly topical stuff, right? That they've just given us these full courses end to end. Happy days. Let me just download one of them here. Just gonna open it up. There we go, and there's the SCORM file. We're gonna upload a SCORM. So I've clicked on the SCORM tab, select file, and the process is as simple and as easy as you've seen before. There's the SCORM file I've just downloaded from Expert Learning. Just going to give her a double click. And we're going to say upload. I'm going to upload Expert Learning's logo here very quickly. EL, Expert Learning, up you go. Okay, we don't know what the duration is, so we're going to have to put in a dummy amount for now. And then in content type, this is a full course. Well, it depends on quick course or course. Right, guys. Now, this is going to take a little while because SCORMs are kind of complicated files, so it's doing its thing right now. And so for the meantime, what we'll do is we'll click on this card. We can see it's pulled in some sort of a thumbnail. Oh, there you go. Facing, and now we get the bits and pieces that we need, right? Facing virtual team challenges. So I can now, first of all, copy that. I can go in and edit this card now and give this course its proper name, which is Facing Virtual Team Challenges. There's the overview and description. And I can share this facing virtual team challenges. I think we have a channel about virtual collaboration, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's a virtual collaboration channel. Tags. Language is fine. Advanced settings are fine. We've already put the logo in. We've called it a quick course. And that image is okay. And I'm just going to say update. One more example. We go create and we say smart card. The only one that you haven't seen now today is VILT session. So a VILT session is a virtual instructor-led session. You can add an image, right? So if it was another Huawei seminar, for example, you can imagine we'd be in Canva, we'd be getting all the details and the dates together. In conferencing tool, it's going to give you a list of some. Moxtra, WebEx, Skype, Adobe Connect, Zoom. Unfortunately, you don't see the icon for Microsoft Teams. That is going to be added, but be assured that it does support Teams. So clicking other, what is the start time, the end time, and the exact time of the session? What time zone is it in? Any meeting details, what's it about? And is it an open or moderate registration? What's the maximum users? And what date is it happening? So you just fill in all of these prerequisites, and then you decide, where am I advertising this session as well? And we need to get comfortable with creating a smart card, going to VILT, filling in the details. This is not the hard part. I'm aware we can all do this, right? It's a bit of trial and error and a bit of habit forming. But by doing it, we're actually creating better training records for our people, and we're edging towards our Ministry of Human Resources MORI targets, which is more important than anything else really this year. Yeah, sure. So if I go VILT, in my share options, from list, yeah, group. So specifically just the GTs you could target, or even just specifically one user. So in conclusion, thank you for your time and your attention. Enjoy your homework. My follow-up action is going to be to email everybody this list of courses that you've been assigned, and your action is hunt and gather. Just go find content, go find something, go find a VILT session, go find a podcast, go find a video that really stands out. We'll review what that content is that you found on Sunday, and we'll start to just upload it and build it in the system together. By the time Sunday's meeting rocks around, I will have built our container on ICRA that is for TNA 2020. It'll be a private channel that we can all use to get the ball rolling on this project. Cheers. Okay. See you, team. Bye-bye.